it would be not human of me to say that I haven't seen some of these videos and been worried. I hope that's all it is a worry, right? And that there's nothing going on underneath there. Hello and welcome to another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. I don't know about you, but I got a little pep in my step today. Feeling a little bit better. I don't know if it's because I have 8 pounds of Vicks on my feet at this current moment in time, or if it's the fact that it's actually above freezing here in Cleveland, Ohio. The brisk temperature of 34 degrees today. It was 50 yesterday. Can you imagine the field day I had? Now that I know putting Vicks on my feet and fuzzy socks will make me stop coughing, and it was 50 degrees. Ugh. You know that trending TikTok sound where it's like, I wasn't depressed, I just needed a holiday. It's like, I wasn't depressed, I just needed Vicks on my feet and to see the sun. And here I am. I just want to say thank you for listening to Seriously, which is now available on all streaming platforms. Yes, we got it figured out. You can now listen on Apple, Spotify. You can watch on YouTube. I mean, I don't know if you know, but my husband David and I, we do have the most riveting love story of all time. 14 years in the making, okay? Met him when I was 18. Didn't see him for 7 years. Saw him again, fell back in love. The rest is history. So that's what episode 2 is all about. It really could be a Hallmark movie. So if you want to laugh, if you want to cry, if you want to tear up a little bit, if you just want to enjoy like an experience in life, escape the chaos that is this world that we live in, search The Seriously Show on any streaming thingamajig that you listen to things on or that you watch things on. All right, a little bit of a briefer top of the show rant, but we have a lot to get into. Pop 3 biggest headlines in reality TV and pop culture. Let's get into it. Justin Bieber. People are concerned about Justin Bieber. I don't even want to talk about it. I really don't. I hate it, especially, because right before I jump on here, and I'm not saying that this is Justin Bieber's fate, okay? But right before I get on here to record the podcast, I see Michelle Trachtenberg passes away at age 39, which, I mean, shaped my childhood. Harriet the Spy, Gossip Girl, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Don't know what happened yet. But I mean, don't we all hate it when this happens, when like our childhood heroes die? I'm not saying Justin Bieber is going to die, okay? I'm just saying stuff like this just triggers some emotions. So there have been, some troubling videos, pictures circulating online. One specifically that was at an event for his wife, Haley. Video showed Justin like smiling really widely, shifting his weight, like staring blankly into the camera. There's all these paparazzi photos where it appears that he has like very dark circles under his eyes. His reps reached out to TMZ and they shut down the rumors alleging that the singer was using, right? They slam people who were committed to keeping negative, salacious, harmful narratives alive. So that happened, and then last night, he did upload this video on his Instagram page of him rapping, and the lyrics say, "I fly like a fly guy, I fly high like a bagpipe, I go high like a bad guy." Some people are like, that's alarming, right? Some people are looking at those lyrics and thinking, not the best thing to rap when your team came out however many hours prior claiming that drug use is a negative, salacious, harmful narrative, which it is, obviously. This comes after people noticed that Justin Bieber went on a bit of an unfollow spree on his social media. Drake, Diddy, The Weeknd, Benny Blanco, Usher. We talked about the moment where he unfollowed Haley a couple months ago, claimed that it was a hacker. And then I just wanted to remind you, last year, Haley Bieber's dad, Stephen Baldwin, asked people publicly to pray for Justin and Haley. Didn't give any context as to why. Not that he has to, but it does just kick up some space for speculation. I don't know what's going on with Justin Bieber. He doesn't look the best he's ever looked. I feel like I've learned a lot about jumping to conclusions, right? It could be a sickness. It could be an illness. We don't know. But I also think that it's normal for fans to feel worried, right? The same people who are Justin Bieber fans are probably big fans of Liam Payne. And everyone, when the Liam Payne tragedy happened, everybody was going through videos and pictures and looking for signs and saying, how did we miss it? How did we not see it? What can we really do as fans of these people? We're not in their inner circle. We don't have immediate access to them. We don't know what's going on. Like, I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm not sitting here accusing Justin Bieber of doing anything, but it would be not human of me to say that I haven't seen some of these videos and been worried. I hope that's all it is a worry, right? And that there's nothing going on underneath there. But I'll tell you what we can do as fans. Not leave weird comments in his comment section. Not be rude to him about how he looks online on his social media pages, right? Not attacking people in their comment section being like, you don't look well. Like that, do you think that's going to solve anything? And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I know MPT girlies don't operate like that. But it's just sad. And I hate when we have to talk about stuff like this, but I don't make the rules, okay? It's a big story. I hope everything's fine. Let's switch gears, major, and turn to Summer House. So we know that there's going to be this conflict between Kyle and Paige. And I don't know if it aired on last night's episode because I haven't watched it yet. But we do know that Kyle sent a very long rage text to Paige. We had assumed that it was going to be about Craig, right? Because over the summer there was lover boy drama. Craig invested in a direct competitor, the Spritz Society, which I believe is owned by the Oshry sisters, Claudia and Jax from The Toast. And Craig invested, right? And Kyle's like, well, that's a direct competitor. I don't like that. And everyone thought that this is what the long text message to Paige was about. Well, turns out it was about 5% about Craig, and the rest was about Hannah Berner, right? So shout out to Face Reality 16, decoded the blurred out message from Kyle to Paige, and this is what it said. Honestly, beyond discouraged. With Craig, too. This wouldn't be a topic today if it wasn't for him and about a dozen lies. I can't believe this is where Hannah is at 3 years later. I'm bleeping bleep. I can't say it because I know your kiddos are probably listening here. First, her telling Alix Cooper I cheated on Amanda right up until our wedding and all the pain we suffered because of that podcast when it was at its peak. Paige and Hannah, in case you don't know, Paige and Hannah did call her daddy together shortly after season 5, which was Hannah's last season on Summer House. And Paige talked about how honestly, from what I remember, I mean, I listened to it however many years ago it was, but from what I remember, I felt like Alix was kind of pushing that narrative that Paige should have stood up for Hannah more. And Hannah was, Hannah's allowed to feel like I wish Paige would have done more, right? But Alix was kind of pushing that, in my personal opinion, from what I remember. Then he says, you've been with her this entire time and are now out there saying you wish you would have stood up for her season 5. Now is this what you think as well? Because Hannah went on a podcast and said, I was not asked back to Summer House because I did a paid partnership with Truly. Kyle got all upset about it because Truly is not Loverboy. Now, I don't think Kyle Cooke has the ability to have someone fired from the show. There was a lot of other stuff that was going on with Hannah during season 5. Stuff she was saying about Carl, her friendship with Amanda blew up. So there were a lot of other factors. But Kyle says here, Hannah had the lowest Q rating. Can't see the next part. Entire network, aka likability. Just ask Dave Kaplan drunk and he'll tell you. So who's Dave Kaplan? I did look this up. He's somebody over there, Bravo. I think he does like research. I'm looking it up. Hold on. NYC LA commuter, head of audience research and content analytics at NBC, Peacock, Bravo, and NBC Sports. So he's saying that Hannah was not likable. She is now. I mean, season 5, I'll be honest, she wasn't all that likable. But I feel like she's had a resurgence with Giggly Squad, with her Netflix specials. People really love her and Paige's relationship, myself included. So people change, Who's to say that she wouldn't do better on the show this time around than she did in season 5? So Kyle continues and says, sorry to barrage you. I was just heated in the moment. Can't vent to Amanda because she basically divorced me for potentially hurting your guys' friendship with the spritz stuff. And I don't understand how lies keep getting, and then it cuts off. This is giving Kyle 17-page email. I missed it. I talked about it last week when I said Lindsay going through season 1 through 8, how she ended up pregnant, was giving Kyle 17-page email. So was this, right? This rage text. And I'm just curious to see how Bravo is going to play this one out. If they're going to mention Hannah, because typically she's not an employee of Bravo. It's much easier for them to paint Craig and that drama as the problem, because every time that you are on a show, like, you technically have to get paid for it. I don't know how it works with Bravo contracts, but I know, like, in The Bachelor, like, let's say that a season of The Bachelor starts airing in Europe or something. You'll still get residual checks because they're using your likeness. So I don't know if that's the case with Hannah. It'll be interesting to see kind of where they go with that narrative. Last but certainly not least in this week's Pop 3, it's the battle of the Alixes, Earle versus Alex Cooper. It was reported this week that Earle's Hot Mess podcast was essentially dropped by Alex Cooper's Unwell network. Variety broke the news on Tuesday that SiriusXM will no longer sell ads for Hot Mess, and that the Unwell network has renounced rights to the podcast, which basically means that she can go to another network, probably Barstool. There's been rumors of tension and rumors of turmoil between these two for a while. People couldn't figure it out because, when Earle first came out with this podcast, it was almost like Alex Cooper, I don't want to say was passing the torch, but was looking at Earle like a protege, right? Like, Alex Cooper's trying to get this Unwell network off the ground, trying to make her own Barstool, right? And you have someone like Earle, who has millions and millions of followers. People really resonate with her. I feel like would remind Alix of a younger version of herself, right? Well, Earle did not go to the Unwell Network Super Bowl party, even though she was in New Orleans. So they were all there. Earle was doing something else, and people are like, that's weird that she wouldn't be there. That seems like a pointed decision. They haven't said why or what happened between the two of them. Everything I read has just kind of been vague about business dealings and them not being able to see eye to eye on business ventures, and that impacted their friendship. It seems like Earle might go to Barstool. Dave Portnoy posted a reel on his social media that had a call log between him and Earle for 22 minutes, which is funny because Grace O'Malley just left Barstool to go to the Unwell network. I have no idea what's going on with Alex Cooper and Earle, but I feel like the conversation had to have gone something like we're going to draw the finger guns. There's only room for one blonde party girl named Alix in this town, like with the Spider-Man meme with them pointing the fingers at each other. I don't know what's going on between the two of them, but at the end of the day, all press is good press. Alex Cooper knows this more than anyone. If you have a public beef with someone, people eat it up. I mean, Dave Portnoy's whole business model revolves around it. So we'll see what happens next. Is Earle going to go to Barstool? I mean, if she's smart, I feel like she should do the podcast on her own, get 100% of the ad revenue, but do a podcast episode about what went down behind the scenes with Alex Cooper. I mean, we would all be tuning in, right? But she is going up against the biggest female podcaster, of our time, of this moment, Alex Cooper. So who's to say she won't beat her to the punch? I don't know, but I'm here for the drama. All right, let's get into this week's deep dive. Going to talk about episodes 7 through 9 of Love is Blind, taking us back to Minnesota. They're out of the pods. Thank God. I was starting to feel like the pods was a simulation and we were all in it, right? I'm like, thank God, 6 episodes in the pods. Are you kidding me? Nick and Vanessa Lachey. I'm not going to recap this by episode. I'm going to recap it by couple because I feel like that's just an easier thing to do. Let's start with Daniel and Taylor because we left off episode 6 with Daniel and Taylor on the heels of a potential Instagram scandal. Daniel has been exonerated from his Instagram crimes, right? Taylor feels really bad because she accused him of rigging the system, loading the deck. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I'm going to say. She accused him of knowing what she looked like throughout the entire pod experience because she thought he had followed him on social media. Turns out he didn't. That whole situation kind of highlighted something for me that I try to remind myself often, and that is that most times your reality is not reality. And it's not like saying that that's a bad thing, but like most times you don't remember things 100% correct. So like you need to be flexible in life, okay, about the facts of a situation because sometimes you misremember things that happen in your own life. But people were saying at that particular moment, well, if she was attracted to him, this wouldn't matter. I'm not going to lie. I had that thought, but I do think after watching this latest episode, this episode drop, I think she is attracted to him. I think they seem deeply in love to me, which I don't know if I'm just naive and believe everything I see at face value, but like when they meet each other's families and it goes amazingly, you know what I mean? Daniel's family, they seem the same as him, very tenderhearted, very supportive, very loving. Taylor's mom, on the other hand, she's a bit more skeptical, which any parent would be skeptical in this situation. So I'm not saying that the mom was wrong in doing that, but she softened. Dad, big softy as well, ended up being super encouraging of the two of them. Daniel cries every time he blinks in Taylor's direction. I feel like he really loves her. I have hope for this couple. It's about the only couple that I actually do have hope for. If anyone's going to get married, I think it's going to be them, which takes us to Joey and Monica. I've come to love little Joey. He's not little Joey. He's like big Tarzan man Joey. He's just a little goofball. And honestly, Monica is too, which is why on paper, they seem like a very good couple. But there's this big curveball that comes when Joey meets Monica's family, more specifically Monica's sister. Monica's sister has some big feelings, big emotions, big opinions. Sister's not on board with Joey, says he's not your type. I think he says all the right things, pretty much calling him disingenuous from the jump, which I think is pretty rude. I mean, you've only met the guy for 1 hour. How do you know that he has all the right things to say? And then we get this scene with Joey folding laundry, sitting on the ground and clocking this 100% correct, hitting the nail on the head. And it's just so attractive to see a guy A, folding laundry on the living room floor, and B, being emotionally aware enough to know what's going on between Monica and her sister. He says, Monica, has she ever been happy for you in any relationship that you've ever been in? Monica's like, now that you mention it, I don't really think so. And he's like, okay, that might be a problem. And he didn't do it in a disrespectful way. I think he did it in a loving, respectful way, having a serious conversation with his fiance. And then you look back to the conversation between Monica and her sister. She's saying things like, it's weird if you got married before me. I'm 5 years older than you. I'm supposed to get married first. And we're like, okay, something is afoot here in the family dynamic. What I would hate more than anything is if they got to the altar, Monica and Joey, which we know that they're going to make it there because we've seen it in the preview for the upcoming episodes. What I would hate is if they got to the altar and Monica's sister was right. If Joey says no, I don't know how I would react. I don't want to bring myself to that place emotionally because I don't want to black out in a fit of rage. Not saying that I would, but that's kind of where I felt my blood pressure was rising a little bit in that moment. But we see Monica in her wedding dress. We see her kind of panicked, honestly. So it's giving the vibe that one of them says no. Although I just feel like it would be Monica. I don't know. Joey, don't let that sister prove us right. or we're going to be big mad. Then we get to Devin and Virginia. There's really no drama between Devin and Virginia. They seem like a very even-keeled couple to me, very calm, cool, collected. There's only one little hiccup, if you want to call it that. I don't really consider it this big point of drama because Virginia wants a prenup. Devin's like, well, I never really thought about it, but he doesn't seem super opposed to it. You know, they're kind of setting us up to believe that these next episodes are going to have a little bit of contention because Devin is going to meet Brittany, his other pod connection, and that might cause some issues. I'm not convinced because it actually came out that Brittany, Devin's other pod connection, got engaged to somebody else in the pods. They just didn't show it. His name was Mo. I mean, we didn't see him at all. Like not one single time did we see Mo. So we'll see. I mean, when it comes to Devin and Virginia, I'm just going to do predictions, I guess, even though I don't want to be wrong. But I feel like I see one of them getting cold feet. I don't know which one it is, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting there. Ben and Sarah. I've never cared less about a couple on Love is Blind than I do Ben and Sarah. And I think it's because I just don't see it lasting. First of all, I'm really surprised that she even got engaged because they're pretty different when it comes to their, political ideas. And for some people, that's not a big deal. For some people, it is. For Sarah, it seems like it's a big deal. For Ben, it doesn't seem like he's that involved, right? So I've just, that never really gelled with me. I see Sarah as being like very headstrong, very independent, and I see Ben as being like kind of a yes man. You know, they do have this internet scandal. One of Ben's ex-flings from years ago got online, bashed him. Can I just be so for real? I'm over that. I'm over that type of stuff. I'm over the exes coming out of the woodwork. Unless you're like an abuser, okay? That's totally different. But if this guy treated you badly 5 years ago because he wasn't that into you, he ghosted you, do we have to make this whole big ruckus about it? I don't know. Now, if it's like a pattern of behavior and he's like still being manipulative to people in 2025 and overall just has bad character, that's something different. But 4 years ago, like, I'm over it. I'm over it. So Sarah, I said in an interview, he was protecting himself and I felt bad that he was in the situation. I thought I'm not going to dismiss her with what she says, but I fell in love with you today, not 4 years ago, kind of like what I just said. I'm a little harsher about it. But she says, I believe people can change and evolve. That's who we are. We're growing people. I didn't want to discredit him and our relationship. Now, here's something else that came out about Ben this week. There have been other videos emerging online saying that Ben had given business cards advertising his YouTube channel to past hookups. Now, that is offensive. If I'm going to be offended about anything, it's the business cards promoting the YouTube channel. You have a business card for your YouTube channel? Ben, I should have done some investigative journalism and looked up this YouTube channel that Ben allegedly has. But if you're making business cards about it, that's just, you have gone too far for me, Mr. Ben. Do we even need to make a prediction? They are not getting married. They are not getting married. Save the best for last, David and Lauren. I wish so bad that Lauren would dump David. I wish so bad that she would. But she's in it. I commend her for that, right? She wants to see it through. She wants to make it work. She wants to get married. David, the personality is just not one that a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know how many people vibe with David's personality, but it's rubbing a lot of viewers the wrong way, right? Like asking every other couple if they've had sex yet. Not just one couple, every couple. Why? Why do you need to do that? It's weird. David is hyper fixated on his sister's opinion of the show, getting engaged on the show, and his buddy's opinion of Lauren's dating history. David already seems pretty checked out of the relationship to me. Him not wanting her to stay in the apartment together, not wanting her to talk to his friends about the situation, about what they are saying about her. Lauren had a casual fling before the pods, brief, non-serious. David's friends claim it was happening up until 2 days before filming started. Lauren and her friends say this ended weeks prior, but David's turning it into a character indictment for Lauren. And like the question is about readiness and commitment. And Dave's sitting there being like, well, is Lauren ready and committed because she had a friends with benefits before coming on the show? If I was Lauren, I would be asking, okay, Dave, well, if that's how you feel, I'm going to ask you, why do you not trust me, your fiance? Why are you having hesitations about me based on a friends with benefits? Like, that's kind of insignificant. If I'm Lauren, that's the most hurtful thing, right? She's trying to be patient. She's trying to be understanding of his feelings. He's flat out refusing to believe her and is continuing to question her, which it's like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But don't string her along, make her cry every day, make her sleep somewhere else or you sleep somewhere else, and continuously bring up the group text with the boys, you know? I mean, I won't lie. I don't necessarily think it was a smart decision for Lauren to have a friends with benefits situation before going into the show. It just leaves room for interpretation of muddying the waters. She would have been able to like wipe her hands clean of it had that not happened. But at that point, she was single. Like, it's not an indictment of her character. It's not saying that she's a bad person. It's not saying that she isn't ready for a serious commitment. Like, who is this sister? She's got to make an appearance. She's like a main focal point in this drama. I need to see who she is. I need to see her talk to Lauren. I need to see her talk to David. Reveal yourself, David's sister. David, get out of the group text. Buddy, talk to your fiance. Have your own opinions. Believe her or not, but don't string her along. Okay, deep breaths. Exhale because the blood pressure, it's been going up. I think it's all this Vicks. I don't know. Last but certainly not least, in this week's final thoughts, let's talk about last week's episode of The Traitors. It is causing quite the stir online. Each episode of The Traitors, to me, just keeps getting worse and worse. Like, every time somebody is voted out, every time somebody is banished, I'm like, oh God, what do I have to live for anymore, you know? Last week, we saw the battle of the final two traitors. It was Danielle versus Carolyn, coming for each other, guns blazing. Carolyn blew it in the challenge, right? The traitors knew the answers. The faithfuls knew the traitors knew the answers. And she's over there getting every single question right. She is trying to persuade people in one direction, which ends up being the right answer. So she just certainly did not do herself any favors when it comes to that challenge. But everyone is really all up in arms with Danielle because at the round table, she called Carolyn Forrest Gump, says that she plays dumb. She's been doubling down on social media saying it was strategic. I understand strategy. Trust me, I've watched Survivor since the year 2000. I understand good strategy. What I don't like is when it comes to personal blows. Carolyn isn't acting. So you can't say, oh, she's acting like Forrest Gump. No, that's her personality. So that is offensive to say that to her. It would hurt my feelings if I was Carolyn. You know, it would be different if it was an act, if that wasn't who she was to her core, right? Like, it would be different to say Danielle is like Ross Geller, overly emotional, right? Because Danielle, that's not her real personality. She's been on interviews saying in real life, I'm pretty cold-hearted, I'm pretty emotionless, and now we see her shaking on the ground, which like gave me the biggest ick ever. Please. She's pretty much having a seizure on the ground, knowing that A, she is a traitor. It was just too much for me. Carolyn is Carolyn, so I don't like the fact that she said that. You could have worded it in a million different ways, too, besides saying Carolyn's Forrest Gump. She plays dumb. You just could have said something different that still got the same point across. Carolyn did not do a good job of defending herself. She lost the plot for a second. I think she got overwhelmed. I think she got emotional, and she wasn't able to defend herself, which people are just like, People are like, you can't be mad at Danielle for being a traitor. She is being a traitor. Well, it depends. It depends on if you like that type of gameplay or not. A lot of the cast that has been doing interviews is not a fan of Danielle's gameplay. I've seen it from Sierra Miller. I've seen it from Chriselle Stowe saying, look, Danielle was swearing on her kids behind the scenes. Now, they're not gamers, right? That's another conversation that's having is like, how far is too far? The gamers, they're like, we'll swear on our kids all the live long day if it's going to win me $250,000. And then you have the reality TV stars who are like, who does that? Nobody does that. You know, Dolores Catania was like, nobody would do that. Yes, they would. Right? Well, now there's this rumor going around that Danielle told Brittany that she was a traitor during the game, which is against the rules. It would technically be breaking the NDA. And they're like, well, this is all set up now. And this rumor started, I believe, because Carolyn said something of that effect on her Patreon, which has now been deleted. But also Carolyn has done other interviews where she says, like, people knew 100% that Danielle was a traitor. So they voted me out on a whim of like thinking, okay, there's like a couple signs that point to her. She says, but there were some people that 100% knew that Danielle was a traitor. Who is she talking about? I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be addressed at the reunion. I think a lot of stuff is going to be addressed at the reunion. But, you know, if I had to make a prediction, of course, like we'll all watch it within the next couple of hours. We know Danielle is going to recruit Brittany. I don't know, you know, there's history there between Danielle and Brittany where they've turned on each other in the past. I don't know if history is going to repeat itself and one of the traitors will make it to the end. If Danielle makes it to the end, she's not winning. Like, everybody kind of feels that she's a traitor anyways. If Brittany makes it to the end as a traitor, I think she has the potential to win. I usually wanted traitors to win. Like, I wanted Phaedra to win so badly last season. I wanted Cirie to win in season 1, but now I feel like I'm riding hard for the faithfuls, Gabby, Dylan, and Tom Sandoval. Are you kidding? This is where this season of The Traitors has brought us. We want Tom Sandoval to win season 3 of The Traitors. And that's thanks to Danielle. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you're not subscribed on the Patreon, you want more Bravo news, make sure you are subscribed to the Bravo tier, patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks. That's happening on Friday. We're going to talk about Karen Huger. Unfortunately, she's getting some time behind bars and other Bravo stories that we missed this week. Survivor Thursday is back on the Patreon as well. So if you're a big Survivor girly, make sure you are subscribed there. Leave a review, a little 5-star boop boop, a little love you like assist. Listen to the Seriously Show, and I'll see you next week. Bye.